Hi, and welcome back to Lisa's Stamp Studio. My name is Lisa Curcio. Summertime is a great time to think about beach and nautical themed cards, and I've got one for you today that is really simple, and it's going to be using the Sailing Home Bundle, which is the stamp set and the coordinating dies. Here's a quick look at the card we're going to create, and I'm going to give you some tips along the way about adhering those very narrow strips of cardstock. If this is your first time visiting my YouTube channel, I would love to encourage you to subscribe. Go ahead and click the subscribe button down below and click that small bell icon that's next to it. That will send you notifications of when I'm live here on YouTube, as well as when I upload a new project. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started on today's card. Here's the card we're going to be creating together today. I want to give you a good close-up. This is a great masculine card as well, and of course you can always change the greeting to include happy birthday or any other sentiment of your choice. I have a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock here, and I'm going to stamp an image from the Sailing Home stamp set. You're going to find these stamps and the coordinating dies in the brand new Stampin' Up! Catalog. Now, if you don't already have a demonstrator and you're interested in purchasing Stampin' Up! Supplies, I would be more than happy to send you a complimentary copy. Just leave me a comment at lisasstampstudio.com and click on the Contact Me button there. I'll need your name and your mailing address. These products can be purchased individually or as a bundle. Now, bundles do save you 10%, and quite frankly, I don't think you'd want one without the other, so you don't have to fussy cut all those images. I've pulled out the anchor from that stamp set, and I'm bringing in my real red ink pad, and I'm going to go ahead and ink that up, and I'm going to stamp that here. I've got the coordinating die. The great thing about these new die formats is they have a double lip type system. So you'll see that there's two lines here. There's one that's going to leave that small margin of white color around the image, and the other one, the inside line here, is going to cut. Now that we have the anchor die cut, I've gone out and pulled this image here from the dies, and I'm going to die cut 3 of those to create the border on that card. Now that we have our pieces all die cut, we're ready to put our card together. I'm going to be using my silicone craft sheet. I absolutely love this when I'm going to be adhering small things, especially like these strips. Adhesive, liquid glue, and hot glue will not stick to it. If it does, it simply rubs right off because of the silicone surface. This is going to keep your work surface sticky free, and I highly recommend it. It's a one-time buy, and you'll be able to find that in my online store at lisasstampstudio.com. So here's the Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to start by flipping one of these over. Now, typically with something this narrow, you would want to probably think about using liquid glue because you can get a more precise area of coverage. But with the silicone craft sheet, you're going to find that adhesive will stick only to the cardstock and not to the work surface, which is going to make it really easy to use. So I'm going to make sure that I'm working very close to the end, and I'm going to add real small areas of adhesive all the way down. I'm going to start by adhering this at the highest point because I want to make sure that I've got the widest area covered first. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay this down on a slight angle. And if you're concerned about that little extra here sticking on your work surface, we can certainly work on the silicone craft sheet as well. So go ahead and tack that down. I'll slide that over, and I'm going to do the same thing now with the second one. Again, adding very small areas of adhesive along here. I find that if you use one full long strip, that sometimes the cardstock will create a bow. It'll be more difficult to use. Now, before I go ahead and lay down the next one, I'm going to stamp my greeting. So I've got the word thanks from that exact same stamp set, and I'll ink it up in that same real red ink pad, and I'm going to stamp this here on an angle. Our last strip is here, and we'll do the exact same thing we've done before. We'll go ahead and add our adhesive to the back side. This one now is going to go on a similar angle, but since the words are there, we've got a better idea on how much space we're going to need. So I'm just going to gauge that about the same, making sure the ends of my rope are going to fall outside of the white cardstock. I'm going to flip this over, and from the back side is where I'm going to cut away the excess. I'm able to use the white cardstock as a guide to cut those straight. So I'm going to come up along the edges, and I'm going to cut away the extra. I dedicate a pair of scissors here in the Stamp Studio that I use strictly for these sticky projects, so I don't have to gunk up the good ones. Let's work with our anchor next. I've cut off about 6 inches of the Sahara Sand in Night of Navy Baker's Twine. This is also part of the same suite of products with the Sailing Home stamp set and dies. On one end, I'm going to create a single knot. With the other end, I'm going to come up from the back side of my anchor and I'm going to thread that through. I'm going to leave a little bit of that knot showing, and then you can trim away the excess once we're done. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around my anchor. What direction you go in and how many times you want to go around is completely up to you. Now I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to place a glue dot right there to help hold that end down. I've got my glue dots here, and I know it might be difficult to see in the video because it's clear, but I'm going to use my take your pick tool, and I've got the paper piercing tool attachment on the end, and I'm going to pick that up. I know it's going to distort it, but that's fine. And then I'm going to lay this on the back side. And then what I'm going to do is tack down that twine to that glue dot so that it secures it in place. I'll come in with my scissors and I'll trim away the excess. Now while I have my scissors out, I'm going to come up here at the top and I'm going to cut this a little bit shorter as well. While that's flipped upside down, I'm going to come in with my mini dimensionals. These are already the perfect size to fit on the back here. I'd like to use my paper piercing tool attachment on my pickup tool to help me pick those up because they are small. So I'm going to add several of these to the back side in these open areas between the twine. Once those are in place, I'm going to go ahead and I'll remove those paper backings. Now we can go ahead and attach this to our card layer. I chose to make a little bit of the bottom area touch that blue border, and I'll just tack that down. Now I'm going to flip this over, and with my snail adhesive, I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive in my 4 corners. This will now get layered on a piece of Night of Navy cardstock. I'm going to leave about 1/4 of an inch border all the way around, just going to eyeball that, and then I'll tack that in place. I like to flip it over and then rub from the back side just in case I've got ink on my hands. And while it's here, I'll go ahead and add more adhesive to the back side. You certainly can use dimensionals on this layer if you prefer. Completely forgot I didn't fold the card base. That's the great thing about my silicone craft sheet. I'll go ahead and lay that down there. And I'm a big fan of my bone folder for that nice crisp edge, so I'll go ahead and crease that up. And then we'll go ahead and pick up our card, and then we're going to center that here on the front of the card base. Again, I will rub from the back. There we go. Nice and simple. Here's the card we created together today, the one I created before you joined me. If you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and show us some love on YouTube. I'd really appreciate that. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.